The Chicago Bears have started their preparation for the 2023 season as Matt Eberflus and Chicago Bears players head back to Halas Hall. What does that mean for the Bears in their preparation for a big season to come? Still with the draft, we'll talk about that. Plus, we're going to get into some of the best centers the Bears can get in this year's draft if they decide to go that area. And then lastly, what are the mock drafts saying about where the Bears may go with some key picks? We're going to get to all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, and we about to get into it, just like the Bears are about to get into it, right? And so when the Bears are now headed to Halas Hall, we got a lot of pictures of all Bears players showing up, looking like it's like they're prepared to just get ready, kind of set that foundation to hopefully have a really good, a much better season. Now, the new era of the Chicago Bears has already began. It began last year. But then we had Kevin Warren also starting his first day on the job yesterday. Guys probably saw all the videos there. But the thing, it all comes down to what happens on the field for this team. And this team preparing, going down, having their first, their first trainings and things like that. This is where some of those, the friendships are built, right? Some of the camaraderie is built, the chemistry is built. This is important, and this is like in a way, almost the unofficial start to the season. It's a lot of, things you can look at as the unofficial start to the season, but it's just exciting. We're heading into one of the most exciting times as Chicago Bears fans, and yes, we still got work to do in the draft. We all know that. Nobody's taking away from that. We still got tons of things that we need to do and take care of. But the Bears players are down there. They're working. They had their time off. Now it's time to get back in gear. Let's line up. Let's see what we're going to do. And, I think this is going to be a big season for the Chicago Bears. I don't know how many wins or losses are coming. I'm not predicting that. We'll have that prediction show after the draft once we see how everything sits. But not necessarily that we're going to see any news come out of positions battle, but this is where you're going to start seeing those things, the chemistry start building and things like that. And if DJ Moore and Justin Fields can start building that chemistry now, which they've already started working on, right? They've already started working out together, things like that. But this is where we start setting the tone. And for the tone of the season for the Bears, we all hope that it's a tone of winning. We all hope that it's a tone of excellence. And we hope that we're really starting to set that foundation that we need and that we want to see so we can start building a winning franchise. Yes, we're a franchise that has some talent. We're a franchise that has our franchise quarterback, hopefully. We're a franchise that has some key young players that hopefully are going to build off their rookie season that they had last year. But get everybody in gear, right? Get everybody in the door. Get everybody in the practice field to just start bringing it together. We want to see this team succeed. And Matt Eberflus has to set that tone now. He has to set that tone early, and we'll see, right? We'll see. This is a big time for the Bears, and I'm glad that everybody's going down there. I'm glad that they're starting training. They're going to start their camps, everything. This is what we need to see from this team. And, I know not everyone is as optimistic about the Bears season right now as I am or some other Bears fans are, and that's fine because for a lot of fans, rightfully so, it all comes down to what do we see on the field when it's time, when the lights are on, when the wins and losses matter. Do we get enough wins that we can look at this team and say, listen, we're building, right? It all comes down to that. I can never take away from that. And I know most Bears fans won't, no matter how high or not they're on the team. It all comes down to wins. And that's what we need. And hopefully that's what we're going to start seeing for this Bears team. If you guys can't tell, I'm excited, man. I'm just excited about the Bears season. I'm excited about where the direction I see the Bears going. But part of that direction is going to be set in the NFL draft and how we transform this offensive line over what it was last season. And so one of the positions, I know we focus a lot on tackles, we focus a lot on the defensive line, but center is another position that we do expect the Bears to address in this draft, right? And so one of the positions I have not done a good job myself at really covering some of the prospects that could be there for the Bears in kind of rounds 2, rounds 3, maybe where they'll go there. First one I want to talk about, and this is a guy that I'm extremely high on, and I hope the Bears do walk away from, and that's Oluwatimi. No, I murdered that. Oluwatimi. There you go. Not that hard to say. Got ahead of myself. This is a center out of Michigan. This is a guy who can come in. Listen, he can lead your offensive line. He's great a communicator on that offensive line. On top of it, he's going to protect that quarterback. He's solid in the run and pass game. He's expected to be there when the Bears could possibly start looking at that center position. And he's one that I would not mind hearing the Bears call his name on draft day. Another one, this is one that Bobby's talked about. Ricky Stromberg from Arkansas. This is another guy, athletic. He comes in. He's a extremely powerful offensive lineman. He's going to do his thing. Some of the questions around him, around the technique aspect of his game, are the biggest questions around him, and that's why he's probably going to drop further in this draft. But again, he's a guy that he may struggle with some of the quicker defensive linemen, but he's a guy that I think that if the Bears can come in and definitely work his way to become a starter. I don't know if we're going to see a rookie be the day one starter on the offensive line at the center position just because Cody Whitehair is expected to move there, but expect this to be a year of development. Still is going to get a lot of snaps for any center that the Bears do draft, and Ricky Stromberg, you can do a lot worse than. Another one, Luke Whippler. Now, this is the only center that I've basically talked about on this channel so far this offseason, and again, comes from Ohio State. You guys know I'm an Ohio State guy. That is my college team if I was going to cover one, which I'm not because I'm not adding any more podcasts to my plate. But Luke Whippler is another one. Has the least experience probably out of anybody on this list, starting 2 seasons for the Buckeyes, but those 2 seasons, you saw the work there. He works well in a zone system, and that is what the Bears do. And he's one of the best at clearing out space for the running backs to get into as well. So again, somebody that may not necessarily start day one, but again, in a team that led the league in rushing last season, was in the top of the league in that. He can come in, he can help solidify that and make that even stronger. And again, a guy that you can develop up as well and has some inexperience, so you really don't know the ceiling. Some of the knocks on him is that, honestly, if he would have waited till next year, put on some more weight, that he probably would have been drafted even higher than what he's going to be drafted. But he's a guy that I definitely look at and say, this is a guy that we can definitely draft. Next one up is John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota. He's not going to be there when the Bears draft. I'll tell you what, if for some reason he is there, if the Bears do get that 32nd overall pick back from the Steelers and by some luck of the draw he's there, the Bears could do a lot worse. I'm looking at this guy, what he brings in tenacity, what he brings in size, what he brings in being a scheme versatile type player. It's hard to find those like on offensive linemen, especially this young. And I'm looking at him saying that he could definitely be that for the Chicago Bears. And so he's the top one on the list, but I do not expect him to be there at all by the time the Bears draft. So there you go. Centers, somebody asked about it. I wanted to give it to you guys. Center that the Bears could go after in this year's NFL draft. But let's move on from centers. Let's talk about some of the mock draft things that are going on. So some of the more interesting picks that players, first of all, the number 9, we're going to do kind of what everyone's mocking us. So Bleacher Report has us drafting Jalen Carter at number 9. We've talked about this heavily over the potential of him being there at number 9, what that could look like. Could the Bears end up trading that pick, things like that. ESPN Mel Kiper has us drafting Darnell White in the first round at number 9 at the offensive tackle position. Now, Bobby did have that on his mock draft list. So this is a guy, hey, he's clearly rising up most mock draft boards, and usually that's a sign that there is some talent there. So maybe the Bears do end up moving and getting him. Next one up, Todd McShay from ESPN has us drafting Peter Skoronski. And so, again, another player that we've talked about highly on this channel. Nothing too surprising there. And then NFL.com has us drafting Jalen Carter at the number 9 position. So that's kind of some of the bigger, more known mock drafts have us drafting. So listen, there's enough conversation around Jalen Carter being there at number 9 that I wonder if there's more smoke there than what I think. I just don't see him getting to the Bears at 9. I do not see a world in which Jalen Carter gets to the Bears at 9. I always say anything's possible, but I don't know, man. I just don't know. Now, Darnell Wright is a name that we're starting to hear a lot, and I would not be surprised if you hear that name called by the Bears. And Peter Skoronski, this is one that we've talked about a lot too. So, makes sense there. But where it starts getting interesting is at number 53, right? And so this is where it's all over the place. So BJ Ojulari, a defensive end out of LSU, that's who Mel Kiper has us drafting. Tom McShay actually has us going running back with Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA. Now, you've heard us talk about this guy. I think Bobby, one of us on the panel on this Sunday's episode, actually said that if the Bears were to go him at number 9, they wouldn't be surprised. If Zach Charbonnet is there at number 53, like the Bears get a versatile runner who can come in, who again, depending on what happens with Donta Foreman or Khalil Herbert long-term with the Bears, listen, Zach Charbonnet, you can do a lot worse than. Now, I don't know if I necessarily see with some of the trenches positions that would be available at that area if the Bears go running back, but if they do, if the Bears were to go Zach Charbonnet at that number 53 pick, that just says what they see in this kid and how highly they regard him. And then in the last one, NFL.com has us drafting Tyreek Stevenson, the cornerback out of Miami, in their mock draft. So, yeah, kind of all over the place. These are some names. Do not be surprised if you hear called by the Bears. And while I don't necessarily agree with all the takes on these, hey, I'm not a professional. I'm not somebody who does these mock drafts. I'm not clued in as well as some of these guys are at least supposed to be. So, hey, maybe the Bears do go a route that some of us aren't expecting and get a little bit creative. Maybe they do start going best available as early as their number 53 pick. So, hey, let me know what you guys think on that. Let me know who are some players that in mock drafts that you've seen go to the Bears that have kind of surprised you, haven't surprised you. Let me know that down below as well. But that is it for today's daily episode of Chicago Bears Central. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bears Central, at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for our mailbag episodes, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related because of you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.